For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Hello and welcome to The Gist on Strategies Global. Good evening, I'm Surya Gangadharan and welcome to another edition of our primetime program, The Gist. I have with me Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha. He was former commander of the Western Fleet, an experienced naval aviator, and he's active on the think tank circuit. And we're going to talk about the 2+2 dialogue with the US that ended only a few days ago. So welcome, glad to have you.
Thank you very much for getting me on your program. I've always enjoyed making conversation with Strat News Global.
Good for that. So let's look at, you've been following the 2+2 dialogue for some time, the latest dialogue. What's your overall sense of how it played out, what was discussed?
My own sense is that as far as the India-US relations are concerned, these are the periodic dialogues which must take place, and it does take place. And it's a little bit of reaffirmation of what we have been doing and take stock of the progress which the existing collaborations have made. And I would say that no new things have been added. They're about the same. As you would recall that the NSAs have signed an ICET document.
Yeah.
They're all dual-use technologies, and a lot of it has to translate into the military-industrial complex.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an important thing. There's a bit of talk which has taken place on that. So we'll come to that.
Mm. I'd like to touch upon the joint statement where there was a reference to the maritime domain awareness. Exactly what does it refer to, and where are we going with that?
Very important, Surya. You know, the seas are very vast. As in 70% of the world is water, which many people must have spoken on your show. But that gives a difficulty because there are no borders at sea.
Mm.
And now you are trying to locate ships, submarines, or aircraft which are not following the rules of the law, if you like. And those rules are uncrossed. The United Nations Convention on the Sea, which was promulgated in 1982. What it does is basically, it is a mechanism by which you want to know as to which ship is where, essentially, or any surface contact, as we call it, on the surface of water. Once you have the contact position, then you would like to know more about it. So how do you know more about it? They all have an IMO number.
Yeah.
And that IMO number is displayed along with on the contact. So this mechanism is MDA. Now we have a fairly robust MDA over Indian Ocean. Indian Maritime Domain Awareness Network is an acknowledged, very strong one. What the joint statement says, that the partnership has to become wider because it is Indo-Pacific. Right now, we are only looking at Indian Ocean. Mm-hmm. So how do we get this Pacific, which is east of, Malacca Strait? Therefore, if you recall the Quad Summit, where the first leaders were met in Tokyo, one of the agreements was that the major MDAs will be connected by space satellites. And the one in Singapore, one in Solomon Island, which is run by Australians, they will all be linked to the MDA, which is here in Malaysia. Mm-hmm. So that a commander or the polity, they can have on the data wall the entire picture of Indo-Pacific. Mm-hmm. Now, that's a fairly big work because it's almost $5 billion investment which the US government has committed. So what will happen is, by space, using the satellites, these 3 or 4, and hopefully these individual centers will also be connected to partners and allies in the region. For example, now Philippines.
Yeah.
Maybe Vietnam.
Going forward.
Yeah, because, these are the ones who are formally with the Western international order, if you like, led by the US. Solomon Island, you know that now almost under Chinese control.
Yeah.
They will have to take a call as to should that center remain there or they should move out to some other place. I think that discussion will go. So ultimately it means that to combine the Indian Ocean and the Pacific, get to know the entire situation, because at any one time, just give you a little idea of only the Indian Ocean, there are roughly 17 to 18,000 ships in a year transiting through. So that will get you to, 10 or 1,000 maybe in a month, and that makes it about 3,000 vessels in a day.
Yeah.
And if you add Pacific, the whole world's trade moves on the sea. But then the difficulty will be that, which is a warship and which is a merchant ship. Merchant ships must carry this IMO number. And the contacts which are painting on satellites, if they don't have this number or if they are not displaying this number, possibly that is a warship.
Okay.
So it was initially has been made to prevent illegal fishing, illegal, unreported, those kind of fishing, where the Chinese boats are very active world over. And 90% of entire illegal fishing in the world is done by Chinese fishing boats. So that's hell of a lot.
Yeah.
So the illegal means they barge into somebody else's EZ without permission. And then So the point that we have been making in think tanks is that what do you do if you find somebody who's transgressing, the laws? So let the MDA give you this, but nothing stops you from using it to evict those fellows, initially by warning. And if not, you must have a structure, security architecture here, which can actually send your warships and evict them. So that is the process which will take a little bit of time, because we don't have a security architecture yet.
So does that apply also to our waters?
Indian Ocean, Indo-Pacific.
Okay. So right now, if a Chinese vessel transgresses, no matter whether it's a warship or it's not that we are immediately aware or we perhaps find out in time.
In Indian Ocean, we are aware all the time.
Okay.
Okay. Now you say, okay, is it merchant ship or is it... Now, as far as merchant ships are concerned, what are we actually concerned about? Because seas are open to world.
To all, yeah.
At any one time, if you see all the number of ships, then 90% ships are engaged in trade. Called global commerce.
Yeah.
It's only 10% of warships. Our interest may be in warships, but a time will come when we may be interested in the merchant ships which are heading in and out of China, particularly the one which are carrying the oil.
Okay. Yeah.
So we know all that. There's nothing which we don't know.
So right now the problem is the Pacific.
Because it is not joint.
Yeah.
Even Pacific, I would think that between Singapore and Solomon Island and America's own stations in few places, by and large they have, but they're all sort of, in bits and pieces. This has to be joined, and this is what we,
the effort now.
That is what we do.
So in this respect, does the underwater domain present any special issues, challenges?
Underwater, yes, it does, because it is difficult to see them through a satellite, unless you have a very high definition thermal imaging cameras.
Okay.
But MDA is not only through satellite. MDA is by all means. You can have a human int, you can have ships reporting, you can have satellite reporting, you can have an aircraft reporting. So all these reports are fed immediately, directly through our various units into the main hub for Indian Ocean. It is in Manisa. And every ship, every warship has access to it.
Okay.
That goes where. So I would say that underwater domain surveillance, it's a new area. It's not a new area, but now there's a little more focus. Because you got these unmanned underwater vehicles here, which the Chinese have mastered now. And of course, there's submarines, as you must be hearing, the nuclear submarines are frequent in the Indian Ocean. So we need to develop more technical skills to monitor those submarines. And how are we going to go about it? Out of we are very blessed. We have only 3-4 entries into Indian Ocean, one from the Pacific or from the Red Sea or the on the east, we have Malacca Strait, Sunda, Lombo, and there's one called Vatar, which is further down, much closer to Australia than. Out of these three commonly used ones, a submarine cannot come dive.
Okay, it has to surface.
Because the depth of water is inadequate for a submarine to remain dive safely. A submarine requires about 25-30 meters of water below its keel, which it doesn't have. So, if it is on surface, then we have no issue. But from Mumbai Vatar, it can come submerged.
I see.
So, that is the last one, though it takes longer to transit. But if they have to deploy nuclear submarines, don't have any problem about how long can they remain. It's a year. So that is where we need to do something technology-wise. Let's see.
There's a lot of discussion about building the GE engine in India, transfer of technology and all that. Are we on the same page with the US when it comes to tech transfer? I mean, there's already been an agreement of some kind that is... What is your sense of where we're going?
See, as per the agreement, the transfer of tech will be 90%.
Okay.
10% is not going to be transferred. We are aware of this. It is part of the agreement. And right now that the contract between HAL and GE, General Electric, is just being worked out right now. So I would see that this joint production is not only meant for our aircraft, but it's a very widely used engine worldwide. Not only in fighter aircraft, but other aircraft. So this will become one of the production hubs. It will reduce the transportation time for the Americans, because they have a number of areas which is not, which is quite far off from the Australian mainland, the American mainland. So it will take time because the whole setup, the lines have to be set up, the machines in the workshop. The ultimate technology, are the so-called knives which have got, crystal or something in the. So that is what does the ultimate, shall I say, fine sort of scraping and making it so thin that it can withstand the pressure of air inside the turbine engine. I'm just loosely and that requires the blending. It requires a particular, microns of blending. So that may not happen. But we have 90% is quite a lot, and I'm sure that gradually, if not from GE, from other sources, we will have that in a different engine, which are already progressive. You must have heard of the saffron engine.
But is that for jet engines or is it for helicopters?
Well, the engine is similar. The engine is a jet engine. Helicopter also uses a jet engine, but a smaller one. Because it has two problems. One is it has to produce, no thrust is produced sort of vertically up, except in the F-35 Harrier and all. But produces, and this is by gearing mechanism, it is converted into a rotary motion. So that it rotates. So that is how it. That is true, you're right. And basically on that pretext it will be. But the mechanism, the tooling, it's a full transfer. Hopefully we will.
So it will take some time to build up skills.
Quite some. But is why it has gone to HN, because HN is already, making the business. Yes. On license they're already making. But in that we don't have 100% or not even 40-50% of, most of it comes in there into
assembly and integration.
From the Russian engines are like that. We haven't had any worthwhile technology transfer from Russia. So this is a good area. But it will take time and it will not be 100%. But we have accepted that. Let's start somewhere.
So why have the Americans done this after years of technology denial and sanctions and all that? What is driven them to this?
Surya, it was denial as long as, it was a Cold War time and they had only one adversary called Soviet Union and then Russia. But over a period of time, as you would have, I'm sure you're monitoring China very well, China has become a very strong adversary. And now they realize that, they really have to resist the Chinese military might. And for that to happen, America cannot do by itself, particularly that far from home. And therefore, they have this arrangement of we have Quad, we have Malabar, all that. These are basically they have realized the importance of India, that if they have to, in the Indo-Pacific, if they really have to, prevent or resist the might of Chinese, both economy and technology, they will have to build the capacities of India, ability to make, because every time it cannot be bought. You should be able to produce. No country has become powerful by importing items.
Yes.
We are into that mode. So we have to change that. That is why this manufacturing, a lot of things we don't agree with the Americans. We would have seen so many geopolitical, maybe we can talk on some other forum. But they said that India is too important. Why India is important? Because otherwise, the restricting China, you can't deny it will happen.
Yeah, it will happen.
But you can delay. So it is that delay mechanism for which India is required. India is positively required. And that is why you find that these things are happening.
What about in areas like marine engines? We seem to be importing only those LM2500 engines.
This is engines is a sad story for us. Because, metallurgy has been our very weak point. And weak point, not because our people do not know. This is the fallout of the Industrial Revolution, where the English did not allow us to get all the technology. They kept it. If you read the history book, the cotton used to go from here to Lancashire. And they used to manufacture the clothes and it used to be sold in it. So this is really, and this is very high-end technology. But I gather that the Kaveri engine, there is some work is going on now, possibly with some collaboration or some help from other countries, North America, which will make the gas turbine engines initially for marine uses.
I see.
So that will be put on the ships, because for aircraft, possibly it may not happen very quickly. It can happen, maybe a different model, but it will be tried, because it can accept failures. Whereas on aircraft, you can't accept failures. Then 100% ready first time. But on a ship, if you have 4 engines or 2 engines, one fails, you have the other one. There's no fear of destruction. So it's a safer platform to try. And I think that's a good way. In fact, there was a time we were suggesting this, but I think now DRDO has accepted this.
So Kaveri is one. What about these LM2500s? Is any plan to indigenize somewhere?
Not yet. Not that I know. But since Kaveri is already quite ahead on the, shall I say, development ladder, it may be an easier thing to do and see if there are new technical stuff which can be added to it in the Mark II, Mark III. So let's get the Mark I, because as I said, it was in a technology denial regime after the Industrial Revolution, not so much. But now we are trying to overcome that. But unfortunately, unlike the software, you can't leapfrog in metallurgy. You really have to go by stages. Making alloys is a difficult job, in the sense that that is the main thing in the technology. How do you make those alloys? Make 2 metals, 2 elements to meet and produce a third one. And that is where the technology begins.
So another question on this whole thing of building industry ties with the US. It's all private industry there. It's a mix of private and PSUs here. Could this kind of reinforce a dependence of the kind we've seen with the Russians? or do you see a different paradigm this time?
My own sense is when I talk to people in the field, um, I think we have learned lessons, our dependence, and therefore, I would say that, we would have taken those factors into account. For example, if it is very high-end technology, let's say the semiconductor, if the Macron is putting a factory here, as we know, billions of dollars are being spent. Now, who do we sell? Because, this is a very strategic component for anything. When you take computers, you take vehicles, you take aircraft, you take a rocket. So how is the American industries going to part? Well, they're also under a lot of regulation. Well, they will not give you all that. So what they call, there are guardrails. Guardrails basically means restrictive ideas on which you have to sign. And those guardrails, which is, that has already been signed, and that is how Macron has come here, that we will not have the option of selling it to anybody. Because the ultimate customer should not be PSC. Through loopholes. For it's a lot of... So in those areas, we will probably remain independent for quite some time because we are only joining the ecosystem of the supply chain. We are becoming we will be a manufacturing hub. There will be a lot of controls by the manufacturer under the American laws. If you don't have it, there are very few American business people who are involved in this would like to come here and invest millions of dollars. The fact that Macron has come, we have already accepted those guidelines. If you see the IT law, which Minister Chandrasekhar wrote, it has got those guardrails. So it has been passed as an act of parliament. So we have to follow those guidelines. In those areas, yes. But what we are having at the level of the medium and small manufacturing enterprises, MSME, of the US and MSMEs here, there are a lot of things which don't fall under this category. There are some which fall under the category of export control, which the Trade Secretary had come here. And Minister Piyush Goyal was having a lot of discussion. So even if these agreements which have been signed, for that to become part of our industrial manufacturing complex, you require these exemptions from these rules. And that is what is being worked separately. But some of it requires the Congress approval because they are very high in security, particularly space technology, rockets, artificial intelligence. So there it will require, even the jet engine, it has to go through the Congress. So I think there's some, but there's a stage. I think there are people who are the India caucus or somebody, some senator or some representative will take it up. And we have fairly good support from both the houses of the US Congress. So I think that should happen because that is across the board. If you see, it all started in President Trump's time. Very supportive. The Republicans are very supportive. But we thought that, in President Biden's time, it will probably slow down. But I think she's only accelerated it. So that way, it is good. Of course, they have their own internal domestic dynamics. Sometimes it slows down. State Department.
Somebody objects.
Pentagon. See, they also have so-called the deep state, if you like. So, they are traditional people in the departments, and sometimes you may find that it is not happening very quickly. So we tend to get impatient. But they are also as bureaucratic as we are. Bureaucracy is entrenched. So, but it's a good development. If it is a White House order, they will have some point.
So last question on submarines. Our submarine construction program is well behind. Is there any discussion of maybe striking a deal with the Americans? Since we seem to be operating submarines from every country now. Any discussion of this kind?
Submarines, Surya, we only have Russian submarines, and which we have stopped buying. And the other one is French. There has been agreement with the French to make 3 more, the 70-year project. And they will have the air-independent propulsion. Hopefully the DRDO as main one, and that is the one which will go. But we have 75 India, which is a follow-on of diesel engines. There are 3-4 OEMs. And in India, it will be made by a consortium of MDL and Larsen Toubro. That is one. Now, it will be left to the strategic partners to trial. But I suspect that, making 6 submarines is not economically a proposal for anybody else. So the government will have to possibly clear that, we will be exporting on their behalf. The second point that I've been hearing, and I hope I am right, that the SSNs, the nuclear strike submarines, meaning that nuclear propulsion but no nuclear weapons, I have a feeling that there is I get a sense that, some talk with the French is probably going.
Okay.
And if that happens, it'll be great. It's a very expensive affair, but it's not going to happen in 1 year. Because we already have, the reactor with us. What is required is a miniaturized reactor. Because right now the reactor is quite huge.
Okay.
And the Russians don't have miniaturized, and Americans will. There's nothing happening with the Americans. I don't think they will part with any nuclear technology. You see, AUKUS has been signed as an ally. So it is right now limited only to the British and the Australians. Not even, nobody has got a nuclear submarine. The French are the only ones who are independent. They have their own nuclear missile. So if they are willing and if they agree to provide us the miniaturized nuclear submarine, then not be a bad idea to start making it here, or maybe take some on lease from French for a while, while the construction is going on. So again, that's my own sense that I get. I really don't have any. Though I remember when Prime Minister Modi went to France and they signed some document agreement, in his talk, and the first time and the only time Prime Minister Modi, he did mention about, peaceful miniaturized nuclear reactor or something, SPR or something. But that was immediately sort of played down. So, because, these are few things which possibly 2 countries would like to keep it. That's what I hope that it happens. This is my hope. And it must happen.
Admiral, great talking to you. Very informative, a lot of insight. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Surya. Always.
That's all we have for you tonight on The Gist. Do follow us on our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media. Thank you very much. Good night.